Bill Friedman was a gambling addict. He lost years of his life at casino tables in Nevada. He knew what the felt and the chips and the low ceilings did to a person because they had done it to him. He knew what it felt like to lose track of time, to forget you had a life outside the building, to keep playing even when the math said stop. And then he got sober. He became a professor at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and he spent the next 3 decades studying 80 casinos across 6 decades of Nevada gambling history. Remember that name, because Bill Friedman did not use what he learned to warn people. He used it to build the most detailed manual for psychological entrapment ever published in the gaming industry. 636 pages, 39 chapters, 164 full-color illustrations, 13 design principles derived from the study of every successful casino floor in the state, all oriented around a single metric that the industry does not advertise: time on device. Not fun, not entertainment value, not customer satisfaction. Time on device. How long can you keep the human being in the chair? Here is the contradiction. The American casino industry made $71.92 billion in 2024. That is the 4th consecutive record year, 7.5% growth over 2023. Slot machines alone generated $36.06 billion, more than half the total commercial gaming revenue in the United States. And the National Council on Problem Gambling estimates that 9 million American adults suffer from gambling addiction. 20 million more report problem gambling behaviors. The estimated annual national social cost of problem gambling is $14 billion. The casinos are getting richer every year. The addicts are getting more numerous every year. And these two facts do not conflict with each other. One produces the other. That is the system, and it was designed from the floor up. Friedman published his masterwork in the year 2000, Designing Casinos to Dominate the Competition. The Friedman International Standards of Casino Design. The title alone tells you everything about the intent. This was not a book about hospitality. It was a field manual for extraction. Principle 1. A physically segmented casino beats a completely open barn. That is Friedman's own language. Break the floor into small rooms. Each room is a contained gambling environment. When you stand in one, you cannot see the exit. You cannot see the lobby. You cannot see anything that reminds you there is a world outside these machines. Principle 2. Place gambling equipment immediately inside every entrance. No lobby, no decompression space, no transition where you shift from being a person walking through a door to being a gambler sitting in a machine. The identity change happens before you are aware of it. Principle 3. Short sightlines beat open depth. You should not be able to see across the casino floor. The visual horizon should terminate at the next cluster of machines. This is why the carpet is ugly. David Schwartz at the UNLV Center for Gaming Research traced the garish carpet tradition to the 1930s. The loud patterns make the floor visually hostile, forcing your eyes upward toward the flashing screens. Friedman himself admitted he could not find measurable impact from the carpet, but the industry had already adopted it as doctrine before anyone thought to study it. Principle 4. The maze. No long straight corridors, no clear navigation paths. You came in for dinner, and you cannot find the restaurant without walking past 300 slot machines. You came for a show, and the bathroom requires navigating a labyrinth of blackjack tables and electronic kiosks. Friedman managed 2 casinos on the Las Vegas Strip for 13 years, the Castaways Hotel and Casino and the Silver Slipper, both consistently ranked among Nevada's highest profit per square foot during his tenure in the 1970s and early 1980s. He had a story about the Castaways. One wall of the casino was glass. Every morning, when the sun came up over the Strip, 85 to 90% of the gamblers left, just stood up and walked out. The spell broke the instant they could see daylight. Friedman's solution was a dark plastic blind that staff raised 5 minutes before sunrise every single day. Think about that. The sight of the sun ended the session, so Friedman eliminated the sun. No clocks, no windows, low ceilings to create the feeling of enclosure and intimacy. When Nevada first legalized gambling in 1931, Casinos actually had clocks on the walls. High rollers demanded their removal within years. They did not want to know the time. The industry was happy to oblige. Mark Griffiths, a psychologist at Nottingham Trent University, reviewed 15 studies on casino environmental design in 2009. He found no conclusive published research proving the specific effect of clock or window removal. The practice predates the science. They removed the clocks before anyone had proven why it worked. They just knew it did. And here is where this gets worse. Because Friedman's maze was only layer 1. Layer 2 is the furniture. Ergonomic chairs with lumbar support and adjustable height, padded armrests, built-in cup holders, screen angles calibrated to minimize neck strain. All of this was refined in the 1990s specifically to extend session duration. Not comfort for the sake of comfort. Comfort in the service of time on device. A slot machine averages 600 wagers per hour. Fast video slots can hit 1,200 spins per hour. That is a bet every 3 seconds. The mathematical edge, typically 5 to 15% depending on the machine type, is a slow grinder. Given enough time on device, your loss is not a probability. It is a mathematical certainty. The only variable is how long you sit there, and they engineered everything in the building to make you sit there longer. But architecture only traps the body. The next layer traps your wallet. Casino chips were introduced in American gambling halls in the 1880s, standardized clay tokens replacing cash at the table. A study by Lapuz and Griffiths in 2010 confirmed what the industry had understood for a century. Chips lower the psychological value of money and minimize what behavioral economists call the pain of paying. Holding a $100 chip does not feel like handing over a $100 bill. It feels like pushing a game piece across a board. The research on the pain of paying is clear. Physical cash creates more psychological friction in spending than any abstract equivalent. Every evolution in casino payment technology has moved in exactly one direction, away from cash and toward abstraction. Then came Tito, ticket in, ticket out. Approved by the Nevada Gaming Control Board on September 29, 2000, after a successful field trial at the Fiesta Hotel and Casino. Coins were progressively replaced by paper vouchers across all of Nevada through the early 2000s. No more coins clanking into a metal tray, no more the sound of losing, just a paper slip with a number printed on it. A $287 loss is a piece of thermal paper you can fold and put in your pocket without feeling anything. And then mobile apps. Smartphone gamblers show problem gambling rates of 22%. Outdoor bettors, 18%. Land-based gamblers, 11%. Research documents that mobile gambling transforms wagering into a continuous activity that permeates daily life and accelerates disordered gambling and debts. The further you get from physical cash, the faster you lose and the less it hurts while it is happening. That was the year 2000, and it is still happening right now. Every layer of abstraction between you and your money was added on purpose, and every layer was added in the same direction. The sound. You know the sound a slot machine makes when you win. That cascading electronic jingle, the lights that flash, the screen that erupts in color, the brief moment where the machine tells you that you are lucky. Here is what you do not know. That sound plays when you lose. In 2010, Mike Dixon, professor and former chair of the Department of Psychology at the University of Waterloo, published a paper in the journal Addiction that changed the field. His team at the University of Waterloo Gambling Research Lab documented something called losses disguised as wins, LDWs. The mechanism is simple and devastating. You bet $1 across 20 lines on a multi-line video slot, 5 cents per line. 3 symbols match on one of those 20 lines. The machine pays 40 cents. Net result, you have just lost 60 cents on that spin. The machine celebrates. Lights, jingles, sound effects identical to a genuine win. Dixon measured skin conductance responses, the involuntary electrical changes in your skin that mark emotional arousal. The physiological response to an LDW was statistically indistinguishable from the response to a real win, and significantly higher than the response to a standard loss. Your body literally cannot tell the difference between winning 40 cents and losing 60 cents. The celebration sound overrides the math. Your mind cannot tell the difference either. In a study with 91 participants across 400 total spins, players hearing standard casino sounds believed they won on 23% of spins. The actual number was 12%. They nearly doubled their win count in their own heads, and they had no idea they were wrong. 72.5% of participants preferred playing with sound on. That is 66 of 91 people choosing the version of the game that lies to them about how often they win. 94% of players prefer multi-line machines, the ones that maximize LDW frequency, over single-line alternatives. That was Dixon and colleagues in a 2014 study in addiction. The machines that generate the most LDWs are the ones people prefer to play. The deception is the product, and they knew. When Dixon's team ran a critical variation, something remarkable happened. They substituted negative sounds, aversive tones, for the celebratory jingles on LDWs. Players immediately and correctly identified the losses as losses. They gave accurate win estimates. The distortion vanished. The manipulation was never in the math. It was in the soundtrack. Change the sound and the illusion collapses. The fix is trivially simple. Replace one audio file. The industry did not change the sound. You know what they did after that? They kept the jingles. They kept the lights. They kept the multi-line format that generates LDW after LDW after LDW. And in 2018, Maria Cherkasova and Catherine Winstanley at the University of British Columbia proved it from a different angle. Over 100 participants. Eye-tracking technology measuring exactly where gamblers looked and how their pupils responded. Casino audiovisual features cause gamblers to pay less attention to odds, to take more risks regardless of probability, to show greater pupil dilation, a marker of arousal, on wins. The sensory environment does not just distract you from the math, it suppresses your ability to do the math at all. That was 2018. The machines are still singing. In 2024, Miles and colleagues published EEG data in the journal Psychophysiology, showing that LDWs evoke the reward, positivity, event-related potential. The same neural signature as genuine monetary gain. Your brain processes losing money as earning money because the sound told it to. But there is a document that explains how all of this is legal, and once you understand it, you will see that the people who are supposed to protect you built one wall of the trap themselves. In 1989, the Nevada Gaming Commission issued a ruling on near-miss programming in slot machines. A near miss is when two jackpot symbols land on the first two reels and the third symbol stops one position above or below the pay line. It looks like you almost won. Your brain processes it as almost winning. The frustration mixes with excitement, and the result is a powerful urge to spin again. The technology that produces this is called virtual reel mapping. It has been in documented use since at least 1988. Here is how it works. A physical reel on a slot machine might have 22 stopping positions, but the computer controlling the reel uses a virtual reel with hundreds of positions. Each position on the virtual reel is mapped to one position on the physical reel. The manufacturer programs the jackpot symbol to appear many times on the virtual reel positions mapped to physical reels 1 and 2, but only once or twice on the virtual reel mapped to reel 3. The result: 2 jackpot symbols land on the first 2 reels. The third reel stops with the jackpot symbol 1 notch above or 1 notch below the pay line. Visible. Tantalizingly close. This is not random. It is engineered. The near-miss rate is a design parameter, chosen by the manufacturer and filed in internal documents. The 1989 Nevada ruling addressed this directly, and here is what it said. Programming near misses directly on the pay line is unacceptable. That is outright fraud. The symbol that appears on the winning line must reflect the actual weighted probability of the virtual reel. But engineering near misses above and below the pay line through virtual reel mapping is explicitly permitted. Read that again. The regulators did not ban near-miss engineering. They drew a line 1 pixel above and 1 pixel below the pay line and declared that everything on the other side of that line is legal. The technique has a name: clustering. Kevin Harrigan and Mike Dixon at the University of Waterloo obtained actual PAR sheets from Ontario casinos in 2009 through a Freedom of Information request. PAR sheets are the internal probability accounting documents that slot machine manufacturers are required to file with gaming regulators. They are not public. Harrigan had to use legal mechanisms to get them. What the PAR sheets confirmed is that clustering is standard industry practice. The jackpot symbol on the virtual reel is surrounded by blank positions or low-value symbols. When it lands on reels 1 and 2, the mathematical weighting of reel 3 ensures that the jackpot symbol almost always stops just above or just below the pay line. Visible, but not counting. This is not a loophole that someone found. This is a loophole that was written into law by the same body that is supposed to regulate the fairness of the machines. And here is what makes that ruling devastating. In 2010, 21 years after the Nevada ruling, Reza Habib and Mark Dixon at Southern Illinois University published an fMRI study in the Journal of the Experimental Analysis of Behavior. They recruited 11 pathological gamblers and 11 non-gambling controls, put them into brain scanners, showed each person 300 slot machine outcomes, including near misses. In non-gamblers, near misses activated loss-related brain regions. The brain correctly categorized them. Almost winning is not winning. The neural response was appropriate. In pathological gamblers, near misses activated the ventral striatum, the substantia nigra, the ventral tegmental area, the amygdala, the reward circuitry, the exact same regions that light up during a genuine win. Pathological gamblers' brains do not process a near miss as almost winning. They process it as winning. The response is subcortical. It is automatic. It is unconscious. It fires before the conscious mind can intervene. No amount of knowing about it changes the neurochemistry. B.F. Skinner identified the underlying principle at Harvard between 1938 and 1953. Variable ratio reinforcement. Unpredictable partial reward on no fixed schedule produces the most persistent behavior and the greatest resistance to extinction of any reinforcement schedule ever tested, in any organism. Rats, pigeons, humans. The result is the same. Near misses are variable ratio reinforcement with the added psychological twist of almost. The Nevada Gaming Commission legalized that mechanism in 1989. The neuroscience proving it hijacks reward circuitry in vulnerable brains was published in 2010, 21 years later. That was 1989. It is still happening right now. The ruling has not been revisited. The PAR sheets have not been made public. 9 of 9 studies in a 2017 systematic review by Barton and colleagues at the University of Waterloo, covering 51 peer-reviewed papers from 1991 to 2015, confirm that near misses motivate continued play. 5 fMRI studies documented insular cortex and ventral striatum activation. The evidence is not ambiguous. Australia banned engineered near misses based on this body of evidence. Nevada did not. The state that wrote the 1989 ruling permitting virtual reel mapping to produce near misses above and below the pay line is the same state where slot machines generated $36 billion last year. The regulator and the beneficiary are the same entity. The state collects $15.66 billion in gaming taxes annually. You know what happened after that? Nothing. The ruling stands. The PAR sheets remain confidential. The clustering technique documented by Harrigan and Dixon in 2009 remains industry standard. The machines are still engineered to show you the jackpot 1 notch above the line, 1 notch below the line, over and over for 600 spins an hour. And the cent. In 1995, Alan Hirsch published a study in the journal Psychology and Marketing. He odorized 2 sections of slot machines in a Las Vegas casino with a pleasant ambient scent and left a 3rd section unscented as a control. The weekends were matched for comparability. Slot revenue in the scented sections increased 45%. At a higher scent concentration, 53%. A company called Aromasys had already been selling casino scent delivery systems since 1991. Hirsch's study gave the industry the hard data to justify what it was already doing. There is a popular myth that casinos pump pure oxygen to keep gamblers awake and alert. That is fiction. It originates from Mario Puzo's 1978 novel, Fools Die. Pumping pure oxygen at casino scale would require over 40,000 cubic meters per day for a large property. It would be a catastrophic fire hazard. It is illegal. What casinos actually pump is chilled air for alertness, carefully designed scent profiles with documented revenue impact, and sound. Always sound. And red-tinted light. Stark, Saunders, and Wookie published empirical data in 1982 showing that gamblers under red light take more risks, place higher stakes, and bet more frequently than gamblers under blue light. Warm lighting is standard across casino floors for this documented reason. The color of the room changes your risk tolerance, and you do not notice. Every single sensory input in the building is tuned to a specific behavioral output. Natasha Dow-Scholl spent 15 years doing field research inside Las Vegas casinos. She is an associate professor at MIT in the program in Science, Technology, and Society. In 2012, she published Addiction by Design through Princeton University Press. It won the 2013 Sharon Stevens First Book Prize from the American Ethnological Society. Scholl documented what she calls the machine zone, a trance-like dissociative state where daily worries, social demands, and even bodily awareness fade away. The addicted gamblers she interviewed over those 15 years did not play to win. They played to stay in the zone. The winning was incidental. The zone itself was the product the casino sold. And every layer of the casino exists to produce and maintain that zone. The architecture removes time and space. The chips remove financial pain. The sound and light suppress rational calculation. The near misses, legally sanctioned since 1989, fire reward circuitry below the threshold of conscious control. The LDWs convince you that you are winning while you hemorrhage money. The scent and the red light keep your arousal elevated. The low ceilings keep you enclosed. The maze keeps you lost. All converging on one outcome: maximum time on device before biological or financial collapse. But here is why you cannot escape this system, even if you understand every word I just said. There is one more layer, and it is aimed directly at the moment you decide to leave. In 1998, a Harvard Business School professor named Gary Loveman was hired as a consultant at Harrah's Entertainment. He had spent 9 years teaching at Harvard. He became chief operating officer at Harrah's the same year. By 2003, he was CEO. By 2005, under his leadership, Harrah's acquired Caesars Entertainment and became the largest casino operator in the world. Loveman built a loyalty tracking system called Total Rewards. Every swipe of your player's card records your bet size, your time played, your win-loss ratio, your preferred game type, your average session length, how much you typically lose before you leave, what time of day you play, how often you come back. The system builds a profile, a complete behavioral portrait of you as a gambler, not a demographic guess, a personal history, and then it calculates your pain point. Your pain point is the individualized dollar loss threshold at which you, based on your specific history, will stand up and walk away. Every gambler has one. It is different for every person. The system knows yours. When you approach your pain point in real time, a floor dispatcher is alerted. A casino host appears at your side. They offer you a free meal, a show ticket, bonus credits loaded onto your card, a hotel room upgrade, something specifically chosen based on your profile to have the highest probability of keeping you in the building. You think this is hospitality. It is not hospitality. It is a documented behavioral intervention system designed to suppress your self-protective instinct to stop gambling. Loveman described this system himself in a 2003 Harvard Business Review article titled "Diamonds in the Data Mine." He documented that the computerized systems generate individualized behavior modification reports, personalized predictions of exactly what comp offer will retain each specific player past their loss threshold. He put this in an academic journal. He was proud of it. And that's just one company. The entire industry runs on variations of this model now. Facial recognition systems from companies like Intellivision and Face First. RFID-enabled chips that track your bets in real time. AI pattern recognition that identifies high-value players the moment they walk through the door. If you lose $10,000 at Baccarat, the system may trigger a free suite offer before you stand up from the table. The offer arrives when you are most vulnerable. That is not a coincidence. The timing is calculated. In sports betting, 86% of revenue comes from 5% of players. In live casinos and slots, 74% of revenue comes from the top 5%. The top 10% of online gamblers generate 80% of industry revenue. The casino does not wait for you to become addicted. It identifies who is already vulnerable. It calculates exactly how much pain they can absorb, and it deploys human agents to prevent them from acting on their own survival instinct when they try to leave. The National Gambling Impact Study Commission concluded in 1999, after a 2-year investigation, that 40 to 60% of casino revenue comes from problem and addicted gamblers. That estimate was based on 11 different sources. A 2019 evidence brief from the Gambling Research Exchange Ontario, the most rigorous aggregation of this data to date, found that 60% of gaming machine revenue in Canada comes from problem gamblers. Using expanded methodology, 62.7%. The Gini coefficient for slot machine spending in Quebec is 92.8. That is the most concentrated spending distribution of any gambling type ever measured. The money comes from the people who cannot stop. The system is built to find those people, to keep them playing past their own limits, and to intercept them at the exact moment they try to leave. And the trap is structural. You cannot simply choose to opt out. Even knowing everything I just told you does not change the neurochemistry of the near-miss response. It does not change the fact that LDW sounds override your loss accounting below the level of conscious awareness. It does not change the fact that the pain point system operates from outside your body, using data you generated about yourself to predict and prevent your own decisions. The architecture disorients you before you sit down. The chips and vouchers numb the financial pain while you play. The sound and light suppress your ability to evaluate odds. The near misses, legally sanctioned by the Nevada Gaming Commission since 1989, trigger reward circuitry that operates below conscious control. The LDWs convince you that you are winning while you lose. The scent and the temperature keep you alert and aroused, and the moment your body finally generates the signal that it is time to go, a person appears at your elbow with exactly the right offer to make you stay. Each layer patches the gap the previous layer leaves open. Architecture traps the body. Abstraction traps the wallet. Sensory bombardment traps cognition. Near misses trap motivation. LDWs trap perception. Surveillance traps the exit. There is no gap in the system. It is closed. Knowing does not make you immune. The fMRI data proves that. The subcortical near-miss response in pathological gamblers fires before conscious thought. The LDW sound manipulation operates beneath rational processing. The pain point interception comes from outside you entirely, from a system that knows your threshold better than you do. This is not an industry that profits from entertainment. This is an industry that profits from the precise, layer-by-layer suppression of every mechanism your body and mind have developed to protect you from loss. $36 billion in slot machine revenue last year, 9 million addicts, $14 billion in annual social cost. No federal funds specifically designated for problem gambling treatment or research. And Bill Friedman, the addict who got sober and wrote the manual. He studied 80 casinos across 6 decades. He managed 2 of the most profitable per square foot in Nevada history. He published 636 pages of design principles engineered to make it harder for people like him to leave. He knew what casinos did to people. He knew because they had done it to him. You know what he did after that? He sold the book for $495 a copy to casino operators. Gary Loveman left Caesars Entertainment in 2015 after 17 years building and running the Pain Point system. During his tenure, the company filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in January 2015, listing over $18 billion in debt, while Loveman collected tens of millions in total compensation across his time as CEO. The total reward system he built is still running. The pain point calculations are still being made in real time. The hosts are still being dispatched to intercept players at their breaking point. The machines are still